Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylos and welcome back to a glorious Overwatch news video. Now, you probably look at the title of this video and you're like, Symmetra's removed. I can still play Symmetra in competitive, in quick play. I can still play Symmetra. What are you talking about, Sty? Well. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a very interesting little interview that GameSpot have done with a couple of Overwatch devs. And they asked them the question, will heroes ever be removed out of the game or will they be made seasonal? And the answer they get is really funky. This is what Aaron Keller says. It's always a possibility, but it's not something that we are currently discussing to have happen in the near future. I think the only example, and it is a very specific example, of taking a hero out of the roster is Symmetra not being played in the finals of the Overwatch League. Right then, let's discuss this. So Overwatch League, the finals happen on July the 27th and the 28th. At that date, Symmetra version 2, the brand new Symmetra remake, will be out. But what they're saying is she will not be able to be selected in the Overwatch League finals. Now the question is, why? Well, let's take a look at this because there's a couple of different ways we can approach this. Now, Symmetra and Overwatch League, Symmetra's never been picked. She has never been played in Overwatch League. And the reasons why is she's quite easy to play around for pro-level teams. If your team is very organised, they can just get around a Symmetra and you can't really do anything. Symmetra thrives against enemy teams which are sort of all over the place, and yeah, she's a bit powerful in certain situations and all of that stuff, right? But she's never been played in Overwatch League. So why would they ban the Symmetra remake out of the game for the pros for Overwatch League? See, because you've got to remember, there are Symmetra fans out there who would like to maybe see Symmetra. Maybe this new Symmetra adds a lot of spice to the game. We know she's got a lot of really crazy abilities. We know that she's got a teleporter which works both ways, and she can throw it and teleport a team out of let's say a grav, or she can teleport a diva bomb, or she could like teleport a charging Reinhardt behind the enemy Reinhardt's barrier. There are loads and loads of ways this hero would make for super interesting play. So what worries me a little bit is, why is she not actually available for the Overwatch League teams? Now, would the Overwatch League teams use a brand new hero? Who knows, right? These teams are heavily drilled and they've practiced for a very long time with certain teams, with certain comps, with certain heroes. When you look at Brigitte and you look at the adoption of her in Overwatch League, you can see Dallas Fuel use Brigitte quite a lot. You can see other teams are starting to beat Brigitte into their comps. So they do get used, right? She's a viable hero. She has very powerful strengths. She's got a few weaknesses, but overall she's quite powerful against certain enemy compositions. So the question is, why remove Symmetra? Why say Symmetra can't be played at the Overwatch League finals? Now, you can be a bit cynical here and say, well, it's because that she's probably crazily OP, right? Now, you could say maybe this is the way Blizzard are going, right? Making new heroes crazily OP when they first come out, and so people are like, oh my god, we need to play this hero, it's the best ever. Or they're just being really cautious and protection's not really the word to use there. Protective, that's what I'm looking for. Where they don't want to upset the balance, because do remember, Overwatch League has got a ton of money pumped into it. Loads of like super rich people have threw like crazy amounts of money at Overwatch League. So I think what they're trying to do is make sure they only have things they know will work, right? So maybe the new Symmetra might have bugs that they might not be able to work out by that date. Now remember, the devs work in advance of what we've got on the live game. Obviously, they're working on things going into next year. So for Aaron to say something like this, it may have been a little bit of a slip up. It may have just been like, oh yeah, she won't be played in the finals. Because is it really anything to kick up a fuss about? I don't know. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because it will be, as Aaron says, the first time a hero has just not been playable. Now, obviously, she'll be playable for us mortals, but she won't be playable for the Overwatch League, which you could argue will be the biggest stage, because it will be the final of Overwatch League. For Overwatch, you know, for people who don't play Overwatch to get to see Overwatch. So it might be slightly disappointing if everybody's talking about the Symmetra remake at the time, because I'd imagine it would be going live, you know, maybe a little bit before July. And imagine sometime in June we'll get Symmetra on live servers. I'm hoping we get the Symmetra this week. I thought we'd get it last week, but I think we'll probably get it this week on PTR. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, guys. Are you for them not having heroes selectable because they're new? Or do you think we should just be like, no, whatever, just get in there and do it? It's interesting, isn't it? They were also asked a couple of questions on more Overwatch heroes, and Aaron Keller said, there are still heroes on that list of 50 that we pitched at the start of development that we're excited about and we have not made yet. So, I mean, like when you think about it, if they had 50 original heroes, okay, some of them have morphed into other heroes, and like 2, 3, 4 of them have morphed together into one hero, and things like that have happened, obviously. But if they've got a slate of 50 heroes they're working from, there's a lot of heroes coming to Overwatch, I think. So I don't think inspiration or creativity is going to be a problem. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that. There was also a question which was asked about Overwatch 2, and yeah, I mean, the answer that's given here by Matthew Hawley, and again, Aaron Keller just kind of backs this up, is I think at the core, sitting here at the 2-year anniversary, we've had a wildly successful 6v6 shooter game, which has blown us away with how the community has responded. We dip our toes into different areas here and there with the Archives event and Junkenstein, but I think our focus is really on keeping the community engaged with this 6v6 shooter that we have on the live service. And then Aaron Keller backs up Matthew and says, running a live service game takes a lot of work, and I hope the community knows that we've been committed to continually improving the game and creating content. Bit of a PRE response, but what they're saying is no, we're not making Overwatch 2. Like Overwatch 2, the very concept of it is a bit silly, because Overwatch is like World of Warcraft in a way. You won't get a World of Warcraft 2. You won't get an Overwatch 2. Overwatch will just keep expanding, and that's the way they'll approach this. So Overwatch 2, yeah, I don't think we'll see that, not for a very long time anyway. So let's just circle back a little bit to Widowmaker. Or rather not to Widowmaker, but to Overwatch League and how this ties into Widowmaker. Now, Widow is a very powerful hero. When we look at Overwatch League, you'll see a lot of Widowmaker being played, like in literally every game. You might even see double sniper comps in competitive now, with Hanzo being so crazily powerful. Why is this a problem with Widow? Well, let me try and discuss this, because Widow has got a very strange kit for the type of hero that she is. Now, Widow is a long-range sniper, a sniper who does massive damage if she lands a headshot. But she also has a grappling hook, which means she can move pretty quick, and it means she can get out of danger. So if enemies try to flank her, she can, in theory, use that to get away. Now, we all know in practice it doesn't work all of the time, but it is a bit strange, isn't it, that a sniper hero with such high damage output, if you've got the aim even, has a massive amount of mobility. I think what's happening with Widowmaker is when we look at Tracer was nerfed for the first time ever, reducing the power of her pulse bomb. Tracer, though, has been nerfed in a massively heavily way with the introduction of Brigitte, because she just shuts down Tracer, and Tracer can't really get much done. She can still be effective, but she's not as effective as she was before. But there is another hero in all of this who is also stupidly effective and has a limitless skill ceiling, and that is Widowmaker. So a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, Sty, why are you even discussing Widowmaker? Why does it even matter? I don't really see Widows in my game, and if I do, they're terrible, and then, well, we just kill them. They can't land shots. The Widows on my team are always absolutely terrible, etc., etc. And this is true, right? But the same could be said about Tracer. Now, for me, sometimes you might get a really good Widow, sometimes it could be quite bad. I think most of the population, you're not really going to see an insanely good Widow, because if there is an insanely good Widow, it will be in the top 500, and then it will be played in every single game, much like it is in Overwatch League. But Tracer was the same, right? Insanely good Tracers went straight to the top of the ladder, and they were played in every single team comp at Overwatch League level. Now, also, there's probably some guys out there thinking, well, Sty, why do you keep talking about Overwatch League? It's not that I'm banging on about Overwatch League, and it's like, oh yes, guys, it's the best thing ever. But when you look at Overwatch League, the pros will play the heroes that are the most effective. So when you see a lot of Tracer, it's because she was very, very effective. Now, we know Brigitte was introduced to the game to stop dive comp, and she does that. And the game's in arguably an interesting place if you watch Overwatch League, which doesn't have the new Hanzo. The new Hanzo, yeah, on the live servers, it's just Hanzo and Zarya combos, and that's basically it. That's one of the reasons why we're not seeing too much Tracer, because maybe Tracer players are now just playing Hanzo. I don't know. But let's bring this back to Widow. Does she need a nerf? Does she need some sort of something which makes her not as powerful as she is? Remember, she's been nerfed quite a lot, Widow. She used to be able to quick scope, and that was removed, obviously, because it was really powerful. She goes through stages where, like, in dive comp, she might not have been the best because there was nothing really to protect her. Yes, she does have the grappling hook for movement, but if a lot of people, if you just targeted the enemy Widow, you'd kill her. But I think what's happening now, as players get better over time, is we've kind of realized that the best counter to a Widow is a Widow. And it's that good game design, where you have to have the same hero to counter the other hero, and then the game just comes down to who's got the best hero. And I guess if you look at competitive right now, that's kind of how it plays out. Not so much with Widow, but with Hanzo. Whoever's got the best Hanzo will generally win. I cannot tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how many times I have literally been triggered off the face of the planet watching my Zarya just waste Graviton when I'm 10% from Dragon Strike, or watching me use Grav and then there's no follow-up, even though I'm going, go Hanzo, go. That happens a lot, right? It's a very simple combo to pull off, yet the enemy team managed to pull it off in every team fight and they win. Now, does that make for a good meta? It's all right for the Hanzo player and the Zarya player, but everybody else is just waiting for their combo to die. So, I don't know. The swings and roundabouts of all this. But the question is, and I want to put it to you guys, do you think Widow should be nerfed? It is an interesting debate because a lot of people would have said Tracer doesn't need nerfing. And honestly, would I think that way? Kind of. Because Tracer, it's not so much the hero's a bad design. It's the same with Widow. It's not a bad design as such. It's just that players get better and they get better and they get better and better and better. And these heroes get better with those players. And there comes a point where I think the devs are like, okay, we're going to have to do something here because these players are just going to dominate the game, and that's kind of maybe not what they want. Well, I think it is definitely not what they want, because if you look at the introduction of Brigitte and you look at the nerf to Tracer even, is Widowmaker next for some sort of balance change? It's going to be interesting times, guys, for Overwatch. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, but just to quickly recap, in case you've magically forgot, Symmetra is not going to be used in the Overwatch League finals, the new version of Symmetra, that is. Also, Widowmaker, does she need a nerf? I don't know. And there won't be an Overwatch League 2, but yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then let me know what you think about the video in the comments below. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.